And now, virtually from our homes, your Stewardship Committee presents In the Zoom Where It Happens.
The Stewardship Committee's annual pledge campaign is about committing ourselves financially to the support of Stone Church in the coming year. It allows our session to create the annual budget. Most of that budget goes to support things that allow our church to exist, paying for staff, programs, and our church buildings. But Stone Church also pledges each year. We help other organizations in our community do critical work that we believe God wants us to do, but which we can't do by ourselves. Our Stoneworks Committee manages the money we give to others.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Todd Davidson. I chair the Stoneworks Committee. I'm here today with Damone Carter, who's the Director of Community Engagement at Sacred Heart. Damone, thank you so much for being with us. I have a few questions for you about the needs that you're seeing and then how we can help. And so the first question is, how has the pandemic affected the families who receive services from Sacred Heart?
For many of the families who receive services from us, the pandemic has really made a bad situation a lot worse. With unemployment hovering around 10%, folks, especially in the service industries, have been out of work for months now. Add to that the distance learning burden essentially on parents to be at home with their children, and the elimination of a lot of daycare options have just created a really, really tough situation for a lot of families that come to access our services. We've seen an uptick in the number of families coming to our food pantry on a daily basis. Upwards of 500 families typically are accessing our services there. We've also seen a huge increase in the number of folks coming to us for rental assistance through our homelessness prevention program. And so these are all things that existed before, but the pandemic has really made those situations a lot more dire.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can all understand that. We know that we're in tough times right now. So what is Sacred Heart doing to help the most vulnerable members of our community?
So I'm going to talk a little bit about our essential services program, a couple of which I've mentioned. Our food pantry is a vital essential service that we provide to families and members. We also have our homelessness prevention system. We work with county partners to distribute. Last year was $4 million to folks to make sure that they could stay in their homes. We know homelessness is an epidemic here in the Silicon Valley, so we really work on trying to keep people out of that situation. In addition to that, we have a public benefits program, which helps people navigate how to access CalFresh and things like that. We have job coaching assistance, tax help, urban gardening. We show up in a lot of different ways for folks here at Sacred Heart.
And it never ceases to amaze me how many needs that you're able to cover. I love it. Last question, how can our community, how can the Stone community support Sacred Heart's mission of a community united to end poverty?
That's a great question. So I want to talk about 3 different ways that Stone Church can help show up for this community. But I do want to really quick flag our mission of a community united. So it is our belief that poverty is fixable and it requires the commitment of an entire community. So here are 3 ways that you can show up for your community members starting right now. Number 1 is donate. We have seen, obviously, like I spoke about, an increased need. And so the dollars that you donate allow us to get more people, more help in the ways that they need. So definitely donate. There will be a link in the chat for that. The other thing that we really need right now is volunteers. Our food pantry is run for the most part by volunteers. And during the pandemic and shelter in place, we've seen a real dip in the number of folks showing up for in-person volunteering for obvious reasons. But what we have done is instituted a lot of social distancing protocols as well as mandatory masks within our warehouse and food pantry space. So if you are able-bodied, not immunocompromised, we ask that you consider coming out, volunteering in person. What that does is it allows families to get their food faster so they're not in lines, standing out in bad air quality or the heat for extended times. And it really makes a difference in this community. The third way that you can help out is joining one of our organizing committees. In addition to working to alleviate the symptoms of poverty, Sacred Heart is also engaged in working on the root causes of poverty through our organizing work. So if you are moved to join the battle for racial justice, immigration reform, and affordable housing reform, we have committees of community members just like yourselves who are working on making concrete policy changes in these areas. And you will also see a link in the chat for how you can participate in that work.
Excellent. Damone, thank you so much for your time today and for everything that Sacred Heart does on an ongoing basis. And we at Stone look forward to supporting you more and more in the future. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.